Hey, friends, welcome, and thanks for tuning in to episode 99 of the Heat Press for Profit podcast. Today, we are diving into some of the most common heat printing myths out there to ensure you, as a decorator out there, whether you're just a hobbyist, whether you're a small business, whether you are a print shop tuning in on this wonderful, beautiful, sunny Thursday afternoon. I had to look and see what day it was. But this is built to make sure that you could confidently decorate apparel that not just is going to work for you, but that your customers are going to love, right? So that's the goal of everybody as an apparel decorator, is to create apparel that people actually want to wear, that top drawer item, right? Not just thrown in the bottom of the closet or something like that, right? So that's what we're going to cover here today with those heat printing myths. I have a list compiled from forums online, of course, online groups, our Heat Press for Profit group, and then conversations that I've had with real decorators in person at events like the DTF Expo or Atlantic City, in the Impressions Expo, even PPAI, right? So if you're a promotional products distributor or you're just in selling custom apparel and you're not even decorating, these are some of the myths that you might run across seeing things out on the internet. And with all of the, I don't want to call it misinformation, but man, there's a lot of information that is not 100% completely accurate that I see online. So, and then of course, just scrolling through TikTok. So we're going to cover all of that here today. But as we record all of the Heat Press for Profit podcast live right here, I see a whole bunch of people already chatting in and tuning in the comments section from wherever you're tuning in from. But please drop your own questions, your own comments, your own concerns or myths that you may have questions about or maybe have heard along the way. Just drop it in the chat too, because I want this to be a conversation, right? That none of this happens without the voice of decorators just like you, right? And this is built to help you succeed and thrive. So anything that I could do during this half an hour or 40 minutes that we have here together on the podcast, I want to be able to leverage my 15 years of experience, the 90 years of experience that we have here at Stalls, even to help your business be the best it can be, to ensure those quality results. And I know quality is top of mind for 90% of decorators out there, right? So a lot of what we're going to talk about here today talks about quality, right? But I do have to say, all of our podcasts, all of our education over on our Stalls TV YouTube channel, the Transfer Express YouTube channel, and all of the educational content, seminars, webinars, and even the podcasts here are built to help decorators just like you out, help you learn, connect, grow, and reach your own success. So be sure to join in on our community over on Facebook, the Heat Press for Profit Facebook page. That we have there. It's just a group. It is private. So if you're a decorator and you want to ask pricing questions or blank questions, or hey, how are you guys sourcing this? Or I'm having this particular issue on, and you want to share photos of customer work, it's all private. So none of your customers are going to be in there. It's just like-minded decorators, small business owners, just like yourself. So great place to be. We also have our Easy Prints Decorators group, which is specific to Transfer Express, a little bit into the EasyView Online Designer, screen print transfers. But of course, we discuss Stalls, Transfer Express, Hotronics, and Fulfill Engine in all the groups. And then if you are using Fulfill Engine and part of the Fulfill Engine family and a decorator utilizing that incredible all-in-one software, there is now a user community that you could be a part of as well to share ideas. One of my favorite things that happened, I think last week, was somebody said, hey, would love to see some inspiration for these white label stores, right? Because Fulfill Engine allows you to set up unlimited white label stores, which are just online stores that are completely unbranded, right? So they look like your customer's store. It's part of the feature of the software that you could stand up all these stores and put products to them. And somebody wanted to see inspiration, and man, everybody jumped on and started commenting and sending links for not just the stores as they stand alone by themselves, but also then embedded into customers' websites, from tour companies to schools to bands. It was awesome, and I haven't seen stores quite like that. So even I'm inspired by your creativity out there, the way that decorators just like you and businesses in the industry that are really utilizing all of these tools. So I love that one. If you're running Fulfill Engine, definitely get on over to that group and be a part of that community there as well. But as much as I love our online education, inside of the groups, inside of our webinars or YouTube videos, or even the podcasts like this, I love connecting face-to-face in person, right? I was just out at the DTF Expo a couple weeks ago. We did a recap episode last week on that, if you missed that one. And then we had the Print On Demand conference, right, where we talked to a whole bunch of print on demand decorators, and Jenna did a podcast on that a couple weeks ago. And then we even had the recap that we did. So if you missed some of those episodes, you could always go back wherever you listen to podcasts. Every single week, we are launching a new Heat Press for Profit podcast. But if you want the first peek and the first look and the interactivity here, be sure to go ahead and just make sure you're online on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, even Instagram, wherever you like to be. We broadcast every single Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is right now. So if you're tuning in, you know that we're live right now. But every single week, we're going live to help decorators just like you grow and just really drive your own success to be as confident in your capabilities that you can be, right? So with that being said, we do have some events upcoming, and one that I'm getting really excited for is the Decorated Apparel Expo down in Nashville, or just outside of downtown Nashville, and that is May 9th through the 10th. Then after that is DAC Chicago, that another Decorated Apparel Expo at the end of May up in the Chicago area. Then, of course, Graphics Pro Expo kind of sets them up and starts knocking them down in June for Indianapolis, then Minneapolis, then Long Beach, and then we're looping back around to the next Impressions Expo out in Dallas, which I'm very excited for. Always look forward to that show in Fort Worth, and this year it's going to be in Dallas. So just a little ways down the road, but still down there in Texas. So if you're interested in coming to any of those shows, come on out, get signed up, plan the travel. I got to say, they're awesome to see the latest and greatest technologies, but it's also great to connect with like-minded decorators too. You're going to find your tribe. You're going to find your community. You're going to get inspired and then come back with actionable ideas that you could take to your business to truly make a difference. So if you haven't been out to any expo, you got to make it out to one this year. And if you're coming to the ones that I'll be at Nashville or Dallas or even Printing United in Orlando in October, right? Come on over, say hi. I love to nerd out about print. If you haven't noticed already listening to the podcast, I love talking about all things print, creative, and small business ideas, right? So my wife could only hear so much of it at home. So please come out. Let's talk print in any way you could put ink on a substrate, right? So I am super excited about today's topic, though, right? So we have quite the awesome topic coming up of heat printing myths. And I know there's so many, I can't get off of, now granted, of course, because I'm searching heat transfers and searching apparel decoration and searching direct to film or print on demand, fulfillment like that, right? I'm the perfect target audience here for social media ads, right? So I can't go through my Facebook feed or my Instagram without every other post, typically these days being for direct to film. But there's a lot of things that I see in those posts that are very clearly somebody starting up, trying to capitalize on the momentum of direct to film right now, who necessarily doesn't have the experience with heat printing that could actually cause some serious issues, not just for them, right? Because it doesn't matter. They sold you the transfer, right? So their job's done, but it is reflecting on you as a decorator and down to your customer. So we're going to equip you with a whole bunch of stuff here today. We're going to try to get through as many as possible, and we'll also listen to you guys there. I see a whole bunch of stuff in the chat, man, from California to Chicago, Topeka, Kansas, and yeah, a whole bunch of people here tuning in. It's awesome to see you guys across the internet. And be sure, if you do have your own myths, you have your own just comments or questions about apparel decorating, this is built to help you out. So do not hesitate. Drop that comment down below, and they all come into the studio here live in real time. So I'll be able to see them and pull them up on screen, just like this one. Boom. You know, Sharon Banks says, what's the proper placement for a design on the back of your garment? So I would say, number one, right, that depends on what your graphic is, right? What the size is. I always say graphic sizing and placement always is tied together, because you're not going to place a small logo or like a super horizontal logo in the same spot. I will usually say for a full back or a center back print, you're going to be about 3 to 4 inches. So 4 to 5 fingers down, 4 to 5. 4 to 5, I guess fingers down is where I put it, 3 to 4 inches down, starting from the bottom of the collar. So whatever the collar is, you're going to go from that seam where the collar meets the garment and go that 3.5 to 4 inches down. And that's going to put you in a great placement. That'll put even like a regular circle logo or something right square in between the shoulder blades, and even like a tall, full, huge back print probably is going to be in a good spot depending on the visual weight of the graphic. Like if there's the solid, like there's text in the middle of that, you want that to be kind of anchored towards the middle. And so maybe if it's like a super long graphic, you're going to move it a little bit higher or a little bit lower. We have some absolutely phenomenal guides over at stalls.com and even at transferexpress.com that break out some of that typical image sizing. But just like that, awesome. Love the comments. Love to keep them coming. So guys, just go ahead and let us know. I'm here to help you out 100%, right? That's what my job is. I'm here to empower your own success with all of the information and the mistakes I've made for the past 15 years as a decorator, right? So we're going to dive in. And number one, this is the one that maybe gets under my skin the most, is our myth number one. Y'all ready? I'm ready. You could apply heat transfers with a household iron. You can't. Stop it. Of course you can, right? You could apply DTF transfers with a household iron, and I see a lot of it happening in a lot of the ads, right? And I say, yes, you could apply them. They are not professional results. So no, I would never recommend using a household iron for a couple reasons, and we could break it down here, right? But if you just are making one-off, right? Maybe you're a hobbyist, I don't like using the term cricket moms, right? But like that's what like people think of when you're saying applying with an iron. And like for making a one-time use shirt for like a birthday or a gag gift that like nobody's planning to wear, it might be passable, right? If you could get it to apply. However, there are so many pieces of misinformation and content out there that's like, start your business today, get professional quality results, press like a pro. And then they show essentially using an iron, which we all have to start somewhere. And I'll be the first person to say, I've applied things with an iron, right? I was just doing it last week to wash test, and they don't last. That's the thing, right? I have, there was a shirt. It was right here, but I cleaned up. Right? I just pointed behind me to my desk behind me because the shirt was there, and it's a tangled mess of DTF pulling off of a shirt. You cannot use an iron for consistent, predictable, repeatable quality results. It just cannot happen. There are too many variables involved. You need to use a purpose-built locking heat press if you want professional results. That's bar none, right? That's why heat transfer vinyl and cricket moms got a bad rap, right? Oh, it's peeling off. Heat transfer vinyl's been used for the past 40 years for a lot of athletic uniforms. And guess what? When applied correctly, they outlast the garment themselves, right? They're usually typically like a polyurethane or some kind of PVC, right? So like they are in fact much more durable than an organic cotton fiber that a t-shirt is made out of, right? So the adhesives firmly bond. They're made specifically developed to fully bond to the fibers of a shirt, so they're never separating, right? And when you use high quality heat transfer vinyl, they're not cracking, peeling, or fading or anything like that too. So they're color fast, they don't fade, and even like people say like, oh, whether it's heavy, it feels like vinyl. Yeah, when you're using cheap stuff, right? When you use the super thin and it's sitting down on the fibers of the shirt, right? But that's besides the point. For 40 years, heat transfer vinyl was used as a professional decorating medium and decorating method by some of the largest sports teams out there, the largest sports leagues, right? So there is no, concern of it peeling, wrinkling, or fading off, right? Like that happens when it's not applied correctly. And when we talk about application, it is time, temperature, and pressure, right? So let's break that down with an iron. And the thing that like hurts me is that there's so many people coming into the industry, and I've helped thousands of decorators specifically over the past 5 years start and grow profitable t-shirt businesses, right? And I know how much risk that so many of these decorators are putting in to, hey, I quit my job and now I want to be a decorator, right? And they're being misled by people who they trust by, oh, just use an iron. You don't need a heat press, right? You're never going to grow your business with quality on things that are going to wrinkle or peel off, right? Those customers aren't going to call you up again and go, hey, I spent, $50 with you buying a couple shirts, and like, man, none of these lasted more than a couple washes. They look really bad. They're just never using you again. And then you have to go spend your time and marketing dollars to go get a new customer. That's why a heat press is the most important aspect if you're looking at using direct-to-film transfers, heat transfers of any kind, right? So do not, please do not, if you are serious about growing your business, do not use an iron. Do not use one of those Cricut presses that like are just large irons, right? Consistent time, temperature, and pressure. So let's break them down, right? Time is fixed. It's a human-made construct we all live by. We all feel a little bit older every single day because of it. And we know when we're late for a meeting because of it, or late for work, whatever it may be, right? It's fixed, it's easily measurable, and typically not a concern, right? So time, let's shove that one off to the side, right? Temperature, right? That's next up. There are not many household irons out there that are made for even consistent heat, right? They're made to heat up because they're made to iron clothes, right? So they're made to get wrinkles out. But why does it matter if the tip of it is 30 degrees hotter than the bottom of it, right? It doesn't matter when you're ironing clothes. When you're applying a heat transfer, that absolutely matters because one side of the transfer is now getting the majority of the heat and maybe applying correctly or even over applying. And then the other side isn't getting that full application. So you're going to have failure points. You are setting yourself up to have poor quality for your business. I want you to avoid that, okay? And it's okay. It's like there's so many decorators, especially if you're just getting started, that like you don't need to have thousands and thousands of dollars to go buy a heat press, right? Yes, those are great. And if you have the money to invest, you're going to grow into it. They hold resale value. So if things don't work out or life gets busy or takes a different turn in some way, you could usually turn around and resell those for almost exactly what you got into it when you're purchasing a quality machine, right? When you're buying a $100 Amazon special that doesn't have accurate time, temperature, or pressure, you're not, you're not going to be able to resell that because it's easily to just go get another one on Amazon for $100, right? Like nobody's, it's $100. I'm not going to buy a used one for 85, 90 bucks. No, not going to happen, right? And those are known for their failure points: the welds, the inconsistent temperature, the cold spots, the warping, or like literally the handle snaps off when you got your first order of 200 shirts that are due in a couple days, right? So, but you could go to usually a local library, a makerspace. Even there might be craft hobby shops that have workshops that you could use, right? Please do not use an iron to represent your business or brand. It's never going to be the quality, right? So we covered time, we covered temperature, right? Pressure. And most irons too, they don't even have digital readouts. It's a little dial. Okay, cool. What does cotton with the 3 dots mean? I don't know. Maybe 320 degrees. I don't know, right? You need that accurate temperature. But the number one thing, and this is a common culprit even for some of those low-end heat presses, is pressure. Pressure is absolutely paramount. Time, temperature, pressure, think of it as a tripod, right? So if you remove one of those aspects, boom, the entire tripod falls over. And a lot of people overlook pressure. Like it's just by feel, whatever it might be. That's not cutting it for those professional quality results. You don't see any professional print shops anywhere on the world using household irons. You don't see them using handheld irons. You see locking and adjustable pressure heat presses in those shops. In many cases, pneumatic heat presses, but like I mentioned, you don't need an air compressor. You don't need to go to this big, fully commercial machine if you're just getting started. Now, say you're a print shop and you have a couple heat presses already, right? You could use those. Just ensure accurate time, temperature, pressure. The number one thing that I recommend for anybody looking at buying a heat press is you need one with an adjustable pressure gauge, right? Now, of course, you could save a little bit if your budget doesn't allow by getting one without, but then it's always a guesswork, right? You have to get the right feel for it, or you have to do the dollar bill test where you're putting paper in the press and seeing how hard it is to pull out. But still, that's so subjective, right? I want it to be easily repeatable, consistent results. And that's what helps grow businesses, right? I've been in and out of dozens of print shops over the past just 2 years, right? Doing shop visits, consultations, and learning from decorators just like you, right? So seeing where we could really help or where their challenges are and where I could help businesses like them and like you solve those same issues. It's kind of like that old adage, like if one person has a question, the odds are more people have that same question, right? So I'm built to help your business. Don't use an iron. Don't listen to any company trying to say, use an iron for professional results. No, it works fine. It does not. I've tested and tested and tested over the years and have never had a professional quality result using an iron ever. Yeah, for my buddy's daughter's 16th birthday, where she wanted a shirt that everybody signed. They're never going to launder it, never going to wear it. Sure, apply an iron in a pinch, right? But do not think you're going to get consistent and results that you could sell with your business with an iron. It's just not going to happen, right? So just want to get that one out of the way. The biggest thing that hurts me is that those decorators just getting started, that we were all there once, right? And being misled by saying, oh, get this kit or get this material or buy transfers from these guys. Look how easy it is. Wow, you can make so much money. Nah, they are misleading you, and it's almost false advertising. And I think that's why it gets under my skin so much, that like, I'm here, of course, I work for Stalls, right? We want you to use a quality heat press. We want you to have a quality result. But most importantly, me as a person wants you to succeed as a decorator, right? So every single, even like when I'm doing, let's just, reel it back for an example for me. Like we did the halftone video over the summer, right? So going into Photoshop, a little bit advanced techniques, but being able to halftone prints. I made that video. We printed some examples. And then I essentially had to go back and reshoot so much of it because it was misleading. Some of the dots where I thought was going to meet minimum specs started washing off. And okay, cool. Miss a few dots here or there. Nobody's really going to notice. But if we're going to put content out there to be an educational guide for you as a decorator and be this beacon of trustworthiness, right? Like we're not publishing anything unless it's tested. So we're going, I wash tested a whole bunch of stuff, revised some of the specs and the entire screen cap recording tutorial of how to halftone for DTF prints and remade it. And then I go on an internet forum and someone's like, look at this 600 DPI. It looks great. I bet it feels great with DTF, right? But those dots aren't staying on there. They don't have any adhesive. Yeah, it's going to transfer to the garment just like if you're using an iron. Sure, it applies and it looks great in front of you, and then your customer launders it once and it fails for them, right? And as a decorator, that was always my number one concern, even from back in the screen printing days, right? Like it's that proper application that comes down for all different methods. So like that's the one thing I would rather have the application fail in front of me than fail in my customer's hands, because that is the possibility of a lost customer. If it fails for me, I could fix it before it gets to my customer. Hopefully I don't have to miss a hard deadline or anything like that, but you could fix it before it gets to your end customer, right? When it gets to your end customer, it's too late. You could ruin that relationship. They're never coming back. Man, that could have been thousands and thousands of dollars per year that you let walk, because of one thing failing. So that's one thing that's my greatest fear. And that's something that I always want to protect decorators like you about, right? So just want to ensure. So I see one from Instagram. I talk about heat transfer vinyl a little bit. And so like, are the Premier League name sets vinyl as well? So a lot of those, the player kits that you see on football jerseys in the UK, in Europe, and even here in the United States, some of them are twill, right? Some of them are actually heat applied twill. And so they are a heat applied product. Some of them are sewn on, but the vast majority of them are screen print transfers. Funny enough, right? A lot of those jerseys are sublimated, so they need dye blockers in it. Incredibly hard to direct screen print. And of course, when you're doing individual names, numbers, that personalization, that customization, that's where heat printing has always won. From the early days, 90 years ago, why Stalls is founded, felt names and numbers going on the backs of jerseys, right? So, they've always been that. But a lot of those now, it depends on the jersey, the specific jersey that you're getting. But a lot of those Premier League jerseys are actually screen print transfers. So because the names, the numbers, and the dye blocking properties that are needed for that. So there is a phenomenal facility in Spain, TPT, that does the vast majority of the licensed football. We'll say football for the European and UK audience here, but soccer, right? So those football jerseys overseas are helped produced by those companies there. And even when you go to get replica jerseys, right, here in the States for American football, NFL football, right? The draft's coming up, right? Who's behind the scenes printing those jerseys that say the player name and number right there? It's Stalls, right? So we've been involved with the NFL draft for a while. And so like that stuff coming up, the athletics have always been such a large part of empowering decorators to be able to do that, to say yes, right? Saw a comment the other day where somebody on Instagram was like, hey, what do you guys do? It was, I think, in the Heat Press for Profit group, but like, what do you do when you're approached by a sports team? And a lot of decorators were like, I just say no, right? Because if you're not confident in being able to decorate those names, numbers, the individual pieces, sometimes it could be way too much hassle than what it's worth, right? But when you have a plan, you have the heat transfers, either screen print transfers, the names, numbers packs, even now with direct to film, right? You could do it all. So, there we go. So I'll answer one more question, then we're going to get back to our myths. And I see this one coming in from Raymond. Will the 2025 marketing kits be offered at a special price if or when they are available at trade shows and when they are taking place? A little birdie told me, yes, totally. So yeah, if you could get to a show fairly soon, I would pick one of those up. I'm not sure of the exact discount as it does change per show. Sometimes they are offered on special on webinars. We don't necessarily get to make that call. That's the finance department that makes those calls. So we always advocate here for you in lowering the cost on anything. When you lower cost, you decrease your risk and could increase your profit. So all about that, 100% all about that too. So, that is, I got another question coming in and I'm here to help you out, but we're going to get back to myths here after this one. William Wright says, just starting out, is it recommended to do a doing business as or an LLC? And do you check if anyone has your business or logo name? So usually you could go on your state's registry and see all of the filed LLCs. We've heard a lot of people talk about sole proprietorship. If that makes more sense to you, the vast majority of decorators are going to go get an LLC right now. If you say you already have an LLC, for another company, say you own like a pack and ship company and you want to bring apparel decorating in-house, or you have a restaurant and you want to start manufacturing and making your own merch, and maybe you started doing that and now it's spun up and more restaurants are wanting to order stuff through you and you want to protect that. That's when, if you already have a pre-existing LLC, you're going to do a doing business as, if you don't want to split them, right? But you could always pick up 2 LLCs. I always recommend LLC because it puts your personal assets out of reach in case of any issues, right? You don't pay taxes and the IRS comes knocking at your door. That could be a problem where now your own personal assets are risk, right? So, or if, say, you're using somebody else's design, or maybe you cross over into the Disney territory or something like that, right? Not having an LLC puts a lot of that risk on you as a person, as an individual. So if you are serious, start up an LLC. Again, this is no legal advice, right? This is just what I've heard from decorators and my own path that I had back in the day, that an LLC was the number one most recommended thing, but I am not a lawyer. Do not take any legal advice from me. Always consult a licensed professional in your area. There are online services that you could use to get an LLC pretty much today for like $125. I think that's what it costs here in Ohio. But check your local state. You'll see the business names. You can look up any LLC that's currently registered in your state. It will tell you who the agent is and what the business name is. So if you're worried about doing that, that's an easy way to do it. The easiest way to see if your business name is taken is this great website I know called Google. Just go on over to Google, type in that business, exactly how you would want it, and you'll see if it's relevant to anything else. They're going to be popping up. Now, of course, that is somebody actively doing business with an active website, a social media page, a Google My Business page, or whatever they changed it to. I don't think it's called Google My Business anymore, but like still that like business page. Any mention in, newspaper articles or blog posts, anything like that is going to show up in Google, right? So, but if somebody just started up an LLC, owns the LLC, has the name for that, you could usually use that now, or you could use that as the reference. Now, of course, it does span different product names, different businesses, different, there's a whole bunch of legality that goes into that. So just check it out, right? I know there's websites. LegalZoom is one of them. There's another one that's even higher recommended. But if you just type in, like, if I was looking to do it right now, I would go on over to the Google and type in LLC Ohio, right? And you'll probably usually see something from the Secretary of State. I think it's the Secretary of State, but then you could go in there. It's usually through that website. You could apply. Sometimes the process or applications are a little confusing based on what state you're filing through. So that's where some of those those agencies, the legal agencies, are there to help simplify it, make it easy. So I hope that answered the question for you, William. And if you're just starting out, welcome. We want to be here to grow your business, help you with the best advice that we can. Not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer, nor do I claim to be. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Did I just date myself using that reference? But keep the questions coming, guys. Absolutely phenomenal. I want to go myth number 2, right? Wow, we're a little ways in and we're on myth number 2, but we're here to help. We're here to answer questions and have a good time here on a Thursday afternoon. So use cover sheets for everything. Use a cover sheet on every single thing you put on your heat press. Nope, it's a myth, right? Cover sheets are great for certain purposes, right? When you're layering or need to protect another decoration, maybe you're using some high visibility, the fluorescence, right? Using a paper cover sheet helps protect your upper platen. I've been there, right? You're printing a whole bunch of, they were high visibility safety vests, right? So I'm printing their polyester. So like printing all these high visibility safety vests look great. We're just smacking a one color logo screen print transfer down on all of them. And we're going. And then I shifted over because it was a black print, right? Shifted over, started doing some white cotton t-shirts. And what showed up right around the edges? Yep. Fluorescent yellow, fluorescent green, whatever color it was, right? That it was starting to kind of like the dyes were just starting to build up on that upper heating element, and printing on the same color. You never noticed it, right? But as soon as you switch to another color or garment, you see exactly where the transfer was blocking out the garment the entire time, and bam, right? So there is a good spot to use a cover sheet. If the instructions that come with your transfer, right? Not all transfers apply the same. You should always consult with the manufacturer, whoever's making your transfers, or the material of what you're supplying. And those are going to say like, hey, use a cover sheet for this. Cold peel transfers, most of the time you're going to use a paper cover sheet, because not all cover sheets are created equal too, right? You have cover sheets that are like the flexible application pad that are going to block up to 40 degrees of heat, depending on what you're at. We were just doing a test here in the office the other day, seeing how much it did. And we have little heat press test strips, which are great for, number one, just testing the accuracy of your heat press. They're super cheap and inexpensive. And I love them because they feel exactly what the transfer feels. You stick them to a piece of paper, you put them down on the press, you adjust your pressure, and you close the press on it. So it feels the exact time, temperature, and pressure that your heat transfers feel when going into a garment. So you get that most accurate representation. And it's just like little boxes and squares that fill in black once it reaches or eclipses a certain temperature range, right? So it's in 10-degree increments, and you'll see them kind of like half filling if it's like, I kind of got there, but not all the way. But it's a lot less expensive than one of I'm blanking on it, but they are like the probe thermometers. They have a little bulb, and they're meant to measure surface temperatures of hot surfaces, like a heating element, right? So the IR ones, the little ones you could get on Amazon for like $20 are cool, but most of the nonstick coatings on heat presses refracts the light of that infrared light, so you're never getting an accurate temperature on. You're going to get a ballpark, and it's good to see like if you're getting cold spots somewhere, because you'll see like whoa, that's 20 degrees lower than everywhere else here. But if you're trying to be like, is my heat press at 365, you'll hit it and it'll say like 348. It could be 365, and you're just missing those 10 degrees. So definitely the surface thermometers are the best ones to use there. So definitely want to use that. Great one here, because I see this one a lot, right? Catskill Embroidery asks, I'm reading about washing instructions in fabric softener that damages DTF. Most people will forget this and throw it in the laundry. What does the fabric softener actually damage? Fabric softener will damage almost every fiber of the shirt, as well as, now it makes it softer, right? How does it do that? With chemicals that break it down, right? I personally don't like dryers, but I understand that like everybody uses dryers. I stopped drying my own t-shirts a little while ago. I was in the print, I would say. I wasn't even in the printing industry. I definitely wasn't at Stalls, but I was in the printing industry because I was getting all these great blanks, and I loved the way they fit. But then as soon as I would wash them once, like, man, they just don't feel right anymore, right? And they get that little bit of shrink, even the pre-shrunk ones, right? So fabric softener, that is the number one thing. It is going to ruin DTF. So with DTF, you'll see it break down certain adhesives. So you'll see the transfer actually start peeling up not usually, it's not like one wash, it's repeated washes with fabric softener. You will see fading sometimes on the specific inks. You may see the sheen of the transfer change. Like if it's matte when you peel the transfer and then you start washing it, it might start to shine up with more washes. It's bad for all printing, right? So not just DTF. Fabric softener is not recommended for any decorated apparel washing. Now, of course, the standard wash instructions of wash, cold wash with like colors, turn the shirt inside out to stop any zippers or anything else in the washing machine getting that abrasion on the transfer itself. And then tumble dry, low, medium. But I know the vast majority of the garments that I've worn over the years, usually when they get done in the laundry, just like you said, right? Most people are going to forget and throw it right in the laundry. So I just tell everybody, stop using fabric softener. It costs money. It damages your clothes. It's bad for the environment. I don't want to sound like a tree hugging hippie, but fabric softener is, we don't need it anymore. Right. So, but definitely something that like, hey, if you're going to provide washing instructions to your customer, that's like the most important one. Don't use fabric softener. Some people even say like hang dry, right? Nobody's doing that. Or that, like, that's another thing. Like I see companies out there saying like, Arch, these transfers last 150 washes. Yet in very, very fine text at the bottom, they say when hang dry. I am a weirdo and hang dry cotton t-shirts. I don't know many other people on this planet that do that, right? And when I wash test stuff, it is all the way through. And the t-shirts that, that I'm not doing laundry, they usually just get mixed right in and washed again too. But my favorite t-shirts, I cherish those, right? So there's not too many of them left, right? And the dryer, like when you see the lint in the dryer, right? Like this isn't like Stahl's advice, this is just Dave advice. But like when you see the lint in the filter from any clothes, your jeans or anything, like that's fibers coming off your garment that are no longer on it, right? So yeah, great question. Kind of a myth. So we got that wash instructions, and I don't have it on my list. So Catskill Embroidery, really appreciate the comment on that one. Keep them coming, friends. Even though we don't have too much time left here today, we might have to do a part 2 on this, but we're going to have a very special episode next week. It is the 100th episode of Heat Press for Profit. So we're going to have the whole gang on. Everybody's going to be on, and we'll be able to maybe answer questions. You'll have to stay tuned for what the topic will be. Okay, we're going to keep it mysterious. To see you this time, same place next week. So with cover sheets, be mindful. They are going to block temperature. So whenever you're using a T-seal, or we hear people using sandpaper, or we hear people using felt pads or canvas or anything, do not use it on that first press, right? They're great for blocking the heat and protecting those heat-sensitive garments, but they are blocking the heat. So you're risking an under application. An under application, again, looks like it applies perfectly fine on your press. But as soon as it gets to your customer, they launder it, not looking good. So time, temperature, pressure, right? There we are taking that temperature element out of it. So we want to not do that. Don't do that. Next myth up on the docket. This is a pretty simple one. You don't have to pre-press. That's just a waste of time. Somebody who tells you that does not know what they are doing or has not been apparel decorating for a long time, right? We are using heat to apply ink, substrate, adhesive, whatever you're applying, right? You're using heat to apply that to a fabric. Now, polyester fabrics are a little bit different. So when we talk about synthetics, but when we talk about organic fibers, cotton, hemp, the blends, right? What's the other one that's really popular? I'm not gonna think about it. Cotton. Cotton's the number one, right? I've been printing shirts for 15 years, and 99% of the shirts that I've printed are cotton shirts, or cotton dominant at least, right? Cotton is an organic fiber that soaks up moisture from the air. There's moisture in the air all around us. If you ever use like a PET carrier or a cold peel transfer and you see it stick to your heat presses, because of the ambient temperature and the humidity levels in the air, right? There's always humidity in the air and there's moisture, and it settles in the clothes that we wear, right? You'll see it sometimes on a pre-press, like on a maroon 100% cotton shirt. You can press it at 200 degrees and you see a huge press box and a difference of color. That's the difference of moisture in the garment. Take it off, literally just lay it down on a table, for 5 minutes, and the color immediately comes back because it's soaking the moisture back up in the air. Now, I was just out in Arizona, and I was kind of super jealous because it's a very dry climate, and so there's not a lot of moisture in the shirts. Typically, you'll see this when you start pre-pressing or pressing garments, and you see steam billowing out, right? That's the moisture in that fabric that's being steamed out. Because what happens when you heat up water, moisture, right? Humidity, it turns into steam, right? I'm not a chemist, okay? I don't claim to be a chemist. We'll go into the same legal spiel, right? But it's going to turn into steam. Now, say for DTF, right? We are using a water-based ink. So we have a water-based ink that we are pushing down with heat and pressure and time, if you want to be specific, right? Fighting its way up is steam, which is using the principles of physics and matter to push upward. It goes up. Steam always rises, right? Cold things fall in the air, hot things rise. So steam's fighting up. We're pushing ink down. That sounds like a recipe for a bad time, right? You're right. So what we see most common, especially with like screen print transfers without a pre-press, you will see premature cracking, right? Because that ink never fully seeded into the fibers of the shirt. It might look like it seeded into the fibers of the shirt and really melted down in there, but because steam was fighting up through it. You see this with puff inks all the time, right? Puff inks, if it looks wrinkly, right? Like your fingers when you stayed too long in the pool, that's the moisture fighting its way through those inks as you're applying it. And so the number one cause I see of like when people are like, why are my transfer wrinkling? Or like, I did everything right. Well, are you pre-pressing? They're like, no. And I live in South Carolina, and it's the middle of summer, and like humidity levels are 98%. There's too much moisture in that shirt. Give it a pre-press, right? There's been times even at like trade shows or large runs of printing that you'll see on the edges of the platen, they actually start to collect. It looks like there's morning dew on them, and it'll even start dripping off how much moisture is converted into steam. So pre-press your garments if you're using cotton dominant blends, especially with direct to film. There are DTF companies out there that I've heard say, don't pre-press, it's a waste of time. They don't know what they're talking about. Pre-press, right? Always, always, always pre-press. That extra 3 seconds, not a waste of time when you're talking about long-lasting results that are going to wash and, yes, both dry over all of that. So yes. Here's a great one. Catskill Embroidery, keeping it going. Absolutely love the questions here coming in. Does a second press really make transfers last longer? So we already busted that myth over on our Transfer Express YouTube channel with DTF specifically. So I hope you're referencing direct to film, but that's a fantastic myth, right? Because like, oh, I use a second press to seal it in. I will say with specific types of transfers. So if we're referencing our Ultra Color Max, that's the only one we tested, right? But I could say that we did a single press, and then we rotated half of the print off of the press, so it was never exposed to more temperature, time, or any pressure, right? So we rotated off and then used different cover sheets to see the texture difference, right? But because I've talked to shops that are like, we just do it for peace of mind, press it in there, make sure everything sticks on there. We're wash testing it, right? And so we wash tested them. There was zero difference in durability. Now, some of those, even with the texture that we put into it, whether it was a canvas sheet or a paper cover sheet that we did that secondary press with, there is no difference to durability. And 2 out of the 4 that we tested, the texture from that second press, after about 10, 15 washes, is completely washed out of it. So much of the garment texture starts to come through in the direct to film print with Ultra Color Max that boom, like you can't even tell that half of it was second pressed, right? So there's a video over on our Transfer Express page. We'll try to put it in the show notes for all of our replay, or if you just go to DTF Wash Testing Transfer Express and search that on YouTube, you will find it. And then even the video on that where we do the kind of little scientific study of do cover sheets make a difference and what textures could you get on DTF and does it make a difference? I'll just spoiler alert real quick. The end of all of it, if you're doing high volume production, it really makes zero difference to take the time to do that second press, right? If you're worried about delivering to your customer, or they're like, I don't want no digital prints, I want screen print transfers, or I just want traditional screen printing, you get it to look really, really close with texturing it. But again, the more you wash it. And I am, again, only speaking for high quality direct to film. That is next up on the list. Not all DTF is created equal. People are like, oh, DTF print, a DTF print, whether it's a $300, there are no $300 printers, a $3,000 printer or a $35,000 printer. It's all DTF the same. It's the same inks, materials. It's not, right? There's differences in print heads. It's not just when you're buying a more expensive DTF printer, it's not just the capacity of what you could print, but very much so the quality. So there's a lot of fly by night. Everybody, every corner you could get DTF, right? But if it's coming off a $2,000 or $3,000 machine and they're charging you the same as somebody who has the top of the line equipment and research and development departments and pushing innovation forward and a proprietary supply chain of inks, adhesives, and materials to reduce the inconsistencies, right? Like Stahls has put so much in place to bring decorators like you the ability to offer direct to film prints at the highest quality without any investments, right? Starting at one piece, 6 cents a square inch, right? And then going down to 3 cents per square inch. So like being able to truly get those cost-effective transfers without having to take any risk, financial risk into your business and worry about being obsolete every single year there's new direct-to-film printers out on the floor. So whether they're not supported or now you're incurring absolutely outrageous tariffs, depending on what day it is, coming from China, right? So a lot of those machines and materials and supplies are imported, right? So yeah, you don't need to make all of those investments to have good quality DTF, but with that second pressing, definitely good quality DTF. Now, one thing I always like to say, friends don't let friends cold peel DTF, right? I'm very surprised that cold peeling DTF is still a thing because that is something where you absolutely need to go and repress it, right? So you'll see the edges start to lift up just because of how it's holding onto the carrier and not fully seated until you press it twice. So I don't want to speak for the DTF that you're using, but I would suggest that maybe you try Ultracolor Max and see if the Ultracolor Max DTF is going to make things a little simpler. Single step application, hot peel, 290 degrees, a little bit under that threshold for damaging those heat sensitive fibers of the garment. So yes, if that kind of answers the question, with high quality DTF, the second press makes absolutely zero difference at the end of the day, unless you absolutely want to put a texture into the print. Nothing changes hand feel, right? They make sprays, they make cover sheets that are like, oh, big, thick, heavy DTF transfer. Use this spray, and this is a magic spray, and that's a myth. It's snake oil. The only thing that's going to affect the actual hand feel of DTF is the artwork preparation and high quality DTF transfers. You'll find that some are very thick and almost look and feel paper-like, where other ones look more like a digital print or a direct to garment, where like you see the shirt fibers coming through. It's not just like stuck on top, and then you go to move the shirt and like the shirt just moves like this, like it's stiff, right? So not all DTF is created equal. And there are vast differences in what you could get out there. Get samples, right? Try it yourself. And you're going to see. I know here at Stahls Transfer Express, we'll ship you free samples any day of the week for you to be comfortable and confident in your decorating abilities, right? If you want to purchase your own custom samples, easy. There is zero minimums whatsoever. 6 cents a square inch. So 1 inch by 1 inch, you pay 6 cents, right? So let's see. We're going to keep going because we're running out of time. I only have a couple more minutes here with you today. Let's see. You need a DTF printer to use DTF? Of course you don't. We just kind of covered that. Being able to purchase custom DTF transfers that are likely going to be higher quality than anything you would ever be able to produce in-house when you're ordering from a reputable vendor. Yeah, when you're ordering from, so-and-so and so-and-so's cousin that's just down the street and around the corner because you don't want to pay for shipping and like, I just drive over there and pick it up. And like, he just sits outside his door in the hot Arizona sun for a couple hours before I come and pick it up. Yeah, you're probably not getting the highest quality DTF. Yeah, there's probably better DTF out there, right? But if you're using a reputable vendor, Stahls Transfer Express, you'll find that the DTF is the way higher quality than what you could invest in and then deal with the headaches of hassle of maintenance or climate control or fume extraction, right? Can't let that stuff just be sitting in your shop or your house You're going to have to worry about glycol, right? With most inks that have those glycol that are released, and like you have this oily substance byproduct that you have to put in a jar or a little bucket or something like that. You need the right valves, right? This is stuff that like DTF printer companies are like, no, buy this DTF printer, right? There's so much that goes into it, from the print heads and the maintenance. When somebody's like, oh yeah, it doesn't clog, it clogs. Every single DTF printer is going to clog. It's not an if, it's a when, right? And then the maintenance is your problem. If that press is not printing, high quality, or it's putting bands in it or dropping colors out, and then now you're pulling your hair out trying to get the color. I was liking it like to 3D printing, right? Like I wanted to jump. I thought 3D printing was the coolest thing when it came out. This is the best thing ever. Like, love it, right? DTF is so similar. It's just like direct to garment, right? This seems too easy. This is awesome. You just hit a button and it prints. Why is that red not red? That's your problem now. So if you're best at selling or marketing or doing whatever you do best, now you're not doing that. Now you are a DTF printer technician, and you're going under the hood and you're pulling tubes out and spilling the ink everywhere and wasting those materials of consumables, right? So it's so much more when people calculate the cost. I'm like, oh, well, my ink cost is this per linear inch. I pay this in adhesive, and my carrier costs this. Like, hey, that's my fixed cost. Are you charging your labor? Are you accounting for the software subscription for your RIP software so that you could process the images and tweak the colors and stuff? You factoring that in? Are you factoring in the energy, the electricity bill for paying for a commercial conveyor dryer that's running 8 hours, 10 hours a day now? Like, a lot of that is so overlooked. And then even I know I'm going to have to replace print heads or ink lines, or I'm going to have to replace inks because there's so much inconsistency in the supply chain, even still coming from overseas, right? So there are so many variables and there are so many hidden costs. So when it's like, I'm going to get a DTF printer and save a ton of money. Well, number one, you could, it might be cheaper for you to produce right now, but the lost customers because of the quality, probably not helping your business save money in the long run, right? So definitely really take that. So Catskill Embroidery, you are the top, the tip of the hat for you today for the awesome questions coming in live here in the Heat Press for Profit podcast. So we got one more myth going in, and kind of we touched on it earlier, right? Well, one is all transfers are layerable, right? See people layer in, oh, you just put DTF right on over DTF. No, don't do it. Don't do it, man. There is a release agent on the carrier of most heat transfers, right? And most of them are going to be okay, but direct-to-film specifically puts a coating that stays a little bit on the inks itself. When you peel a DTF transfer, you kind of see that ghosting on the carrier, where it's not ink left. It's just a slight difference of like, maybe it's frosted and then it's a little bit more clear, right? That's that release agent that's sticking to the top layer of ink. Sure, you could go ahead and put another print on top of that and it might stick, but you could easily just grab it and peel it right up, right? That release agent is stopping the adhesive from adhering to that. Now, like heat transfer vinyl, yeah, of course, layerable. Screen print transfers, yeah, you could layer that together because the plastisol ink is like liquefying and it's actually like melting together. So that ain't going nowhere, right? For the heat transfers that are not layerable, they are going to mention that. You'll see that with dimensional products, typically where you're not going to get that full bond of what you're putting on there, right? And so even at Stalls, we have a whole guide of what could be layered on top of each other, or what could be, what can't be layered on top of each other, or like, oh, this could go on this one, or this can't go on that. It's on every single product page, so you don't even have to worry. Just like how instructions are right there as well for the time, temperature, and pressure settings. So no, not all heat transfers are layerable. The last one I'm covering here today is heat printed items are an inferior decoration method and they don't last as long as other decoration methods. As a flat out mistruth, myth. Nope. Boom. Busted. Because you want to know what? I was just out in Long Beach, California. Got a sweet shirt that was printed at the expo. I'm not mentioning any names, right? But it was awesome. Loved the design on it. It was on an AS color blank, like one of my absolute favorite tees personally to wear, right? Love the feel of those AS colors. A little bit heavier weight, trendy, while also not being like a super huge boxy cut, right? Like it fits like how I want a t-shirt to fit, right? Before you start drying it, right? Jokes aside, loved it. Loved the design on it. Got it. Was super stoked about it. I know I saw the equipment where it was being screen printed on the floor. So somebody was pulling a squeegee and putting it on a dryer. It would go through the dryer. Then they were taking them off, right, and distributing them. It was great. I loved it. I wore it once, fresh off the press. This is great. I washed it once and half of that screen print washed off. I will also say, when I learned how to screen print 15 years ago, plenty of those screen prints washed off. You want to know why? Because they weren't adhered and applied to the application instructions when we talk about curing plastisol ink. So that ink never reached that temperature to fully cure to the fibers of the shirt. So when it goes in the wash, washes right off. The same is true for any decoration method, right? Say you're using sublimation, right? One of the most permanent, right? When used correctly on polyester, that the fibers are going to hold the ink and actually have that sublimation dye the fibers of that polyester. Do the same thing on a white cotton shirt. Yeah, it looks cool. You wash it a couple times and that print is completely gone, right? Realistically, sublimate or embroidery is probably one of the only like super durable methods but when applied correctly, almost every single decoration that you use, whether heat applied, traditionally decorated, direct to garment or whatnot, right? You don't put enough fix in direct to garment. Well, that's washing off, right? It's distressing. It's cracking. I've bought screen prints. When people are like, oh, screen print transfers, that crack, right? I bought direct screen printed shirts from a barbecue restaurant that I loved, right? I didn't even wash it. I put the shirt on one time. Print's all cracked, right? It all comes down to proper application. So many people write off heat transfers or heat printing because they're not applied properly. So that is absolutely paramount. Application is number one most important. So we're going to round back to our first one that we went to. If you're just tuning in, joining us here today, do not use a household iron. Don't use one of those heat presses that are just big irons with two handles and you have to put your body weight on it, right? That was me slamming my hands down and pushing on my desk, right? It's not consistent, repeatable pressure. And that's going to lead to the conception that, oh, heat printing is an inferior method. It absolutely is not. I have shirts that are well over 50 washes that look great, right? I have screen prints that from my 15 years in the industry that are 10 years old and look great. I have screen prints that I washed once and look absolutely awful and unwearable. It all comes down to how it's applied, and if it is applied to the instructions of whatever ink it is, whatever transfer type it is. They're not all the same. So pay attention. If it's 290 degrees, 340 degrees, 365 degrees, pay attention to the application instructions. Don't guess, because that could be the difference between a lifetime of the garment or after 10 washes, you barely even tell it was there, right? So if your screen printing in your dryer temperature isn't what it's supposed to be, that's the difference between that print's on there for the lifetime of the garment or, like in my case, well, half the graphic washed right off. So I know exactly what happened. If I ever see you in a show, maybe I'll tell you the full story. I'm not airing it out on the internet. I have friends all over in the industry, and I understand things happen sometimes, especially when we're decorating on site at events, which makes heat printing the way to do it. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. Of course, thank you for listening to the Heat Press for Profit podcast. This was episode 99. My name is Dave from Stalls. I was so happy you joined us here today, whether you joined us live all over the internet, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So whether it's Apple or iHeartRadio, look for the Heat Press for Profit podcast, always available, dropping the new episodes every single week. And stay tuned, because next week we are coming in with the 100th episode of the Heat Press for Profit podcast. So I know I'm really excited for that one. We're going to have everybody on from Stalls. Still ensuring that we have a few members. We have them penciled in, but I want to get them sharpied in, right? So absolutely want to keep it going. Big fan of everybody who turned out today. Join us with us live, and another tip of the cap to Cat Skill Embroidery for all of the fantastic questions, and everybody else, right? That contributed here, from Jeff to Debo, Cat Skill Embroidery, of course, and then Rising Star Clothing, right? Raymond and Scotty and Sharon, and let's see, a few more folks here. There's another Sharon in there. and Lady Chill, right? And Darren and Tanya and everybody else. I just scrolled through a little bit, right? Anybody who's here, if you want to interact with us live, we're always live here on all of our channels all across the entire internet. But until next week, I'm Dave. Happy pressing. We'll see you.